Islam, Islam, Islam. Make sure I get on public. Make sure I'm public. Islam, Islam, Islam. Peace and love. Peace and love. Make sure y'all can hear me out here. Peace and love. Peace and love. Drop a 100 if y'all can hear me. Let's get in. Let's get in here. Me out here. Peace and love. Peace and love. Drop a 100 if y'all can hear me. Let's get in. Peace and love. Come on in. You came to the right spot. It's the Grand Sheik. Come on in. We talking about some status correction, proclamation of nationality, your history, lineage. We finna go in. Okay, I got 100s. Okay. That means y'all can hear me clear. Let's go in then. Peace and love. First, I want to give perfect praise to Father God Allah. Then I want to give all honors to his prophet, noble Drew Ali. His love, all honors to the prophet. We're going to go right in. I can't run it like that because I can't see it. Yes, I can. His love, we're going right in. We got a lot to talk about today. We got a lot to cover from status correction, nationality proclamation, talk about Donald Trump, the 14th Amendment ending. Let's talk about it. Let's go in. Let's go in. I've been hearing a lot of talk about status correction, name changes, and all types of fugaziness, authentication of the birth certificate, and all these things. First of all, we got to understand that you got to know yourself first, and then you got to actually kind of study some government to understand why nationality is the true status correction. If you still a U.S. citizen and you still got allegiance to the United States, then you are a citizen of the United States. You haven't changed your status, and the change of status is changing from United States de facto government into a de jure Moorish government or whatever nationality you might be. That's the true status correction. We're gonna go in on that today. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna let's start off with some definitions. I like to start off with some definitions so we have a common ground to build off of. Let's just go off some definitions. First of all, let's see what the definition of United States is. A lot of us think United States is the landmass. United States is not the land. North America is the land. I'm going to connect you back to your land, air, and water. That's the law. That's what your estate comprised of, your rights, titles, and interests. What happened is when we confuse ourselves with being a 14th Amendment citizen, we said that the United States is the land. That's not true. The United States is not the landmass. The United States, according to 28 USC, United States Code, 3002, United States means a federal corporation. Federal corporation. So we gotta break that down. We gotta start right there. You understand? We gotta start right there. If that's a federal corporation, then what we doing? Okay, let's read. First of all, this is the status correction course. Um, I'm gonna be releasing this to the public, this course on status correction for free on the website consciouscollege.org. By the morning, this will be uploaded. So check in with the website tomorrow morning, consciouscollege.org. The status correction course, just the course educating you on the status correction of a Moorish American, that will be available for the public because it's too much falsehood and folly going on when it comes to the term of status correction. So let's break down some key terms of different citizenship so you can understand where you might fall in this whole mix. All right. So here are the main 7 categories of different citizenship statuses. First, of course, you got the U.S. citizen. A U.S. citizen is a person who is legally recognized as a member of the United States. This status can be acquired through birthing in the U.S. or through the birth certificate process when you were born, or through a process called naturalization, which involves fulfilling certain requirements, including residency, language proficiency, and knowledge of the U.S. history and government. U.S. citizens does not have the fullest range of rights. I'm gonna say it again. U.S. citizens do not have the fullest range of rights. They only have privileges given to them by Europeans, including the right to vote in state elections, run for public office, and live and work in the United States without restriction. And see, you have to understand the difference between rights and privileges. Okay, rights and privileges. Privileges are permissions. So U.S. citizens have permission from the U.S. government, which is a European government, to have certain benefits, right? So the difference is when you have a right, then that's something that's God given. That's something that the U.S. government cannot give you permission of. A right is inalienable. A right is unalienable. A right is inherited, and they call birthrights. All right, and you have a lot of them. You have civil rights. You have human rights. You have indigenous rights. You have religious rights. You have so many rights that you're not aware of. So they have to create a Bill of Rights to include in the U.S. Constitution just to make sure that your rights were secured. You understand? So you have a security agreement called the U.S. Constitution that secures your human rights, the basic fundamental rights. Okay, and that's very important to know that. Okay, now the second destination is a lawful permanent resident, LPR, also known as a green card holder. An LPR is a foreign alien who has been granted the right to live and work in the United States indefinitely. This status is typically obtained through family sponsorship, employment, refugee slash status, or other humanitarian programs. Green card holders may have many rights and protections under U.S. law, but they are not allowed to vote in federal elections, and they can lose their status if they commit certain crimes or fail to meet resident they residence requirements. Pardon, so that word always hard for me to pronounce. Okay, number 3, the third destination is a non-citizen national. This is the special destination right here, the non-citizen national. Islam. Uh, this person here, this status is less common and applies primarily to indigenous people born outside the U.S. corporate jurisdiction under the 14th Amendment, and to parents who are non-citizen nationals. Non-citizen nationals owe permanent allegiance to the United States of America Republic, not to the federal corporation known as the U.S., and have the right to reside and work in the U.S., but they do not have the same full range of disabilities as U.S. citizens. So as a citizen national. Once you proclaim nationality, you are a national. It takes you out of U.S. citizen status, 14th Amendment status under the U.S. corporate jurisdiction. It places you above the U.S. citizen, and this party should have been number one on the list. You know what I'm saying? Because it really is number one on the list. The nationals of any country are the indigenous people of that country who have a full range of rights. They don't have the same disabilities as the U.S. citizen. U.S. citizens is a corporation. You understand? So when I say the U.S. citizen is a person, you got to know what a person is. A person is a corporation, a state of trust, some type of entity. It's not a human being, right? So they take you out of, but when they put you in U.S. citizenship, they take you out of your human status or being, your human rights. They put you in the corporate status where you have corporate rights and civil rights, and that's limited because human rights is a full range of rights versus corporate rights is like limited, you know what I'm saying, in a box type rights, okay, where you only receive permissions. Okay, now fourth destination is a temporary visitor. This category includes various type of non-immigrant visas that allow individuals to temporarily stay in the U.S. for a specific purpose, such as tourism, business, work, education, medical treatment. Okay, number five is the undocumented immigrant. These are individuals who are in the U.S. without legal authorization. They do not have permission to live or work in the country. They are subject to immigration enforcement measures, include potential deportation. Okay, so the undocumented immigrant, you see that a lot. You might see Mexicans out here, no social security number, things like that, just because they don't know their nationality. They don't know that nationality is the order of the day, and they don't have to be U.S. citizens. You don't have to have a social security number. These are things that put you in a corporate status. And if you truly knew who you were, then you would never identify yourself as a U.S. citizen. Let's start there. You know what I'm saying? Number six, a refugee, a stateless person. Refugee or a stateless person are two distinct categories of individuals who face displacement and lack of protection in their home countries due to various reasons such as persecution, conflict, and human rights abuses. So this is the status that they have you in if you don't have a nationality. You know what I'm saying? Even as a U.S. citizen, you still consider a stateless person because you have no nationality. You a refugee. It's like you abandoned your nationality. You abandoned your estate. So when you abandon your true lost estate, then you a refugee. You know what I'm saying? That means that you don't have any rights. You know what I'm saying? As a refugee, you fall under the jurisdiction of the territorial government. So if the United States have territorial jurisdiction over North America, then whoever is in that jurisdiction without a nationality falls under their jurisdiction. That's just how it works. It's called occupation, and they have us under occupation, and they consider themselves occupying the land. You understand? These are legal terms. You understand me? Matter of fact, let's go into the definition. Let me break out my Black's Law Dictionary. 1 second. We gotta go on now. Let's look and see what it means to be on an occupation, because a lot of people don't even probably never even heard that term. I'm gonna keep it funky with y'all. I know a lot of y'all ain't never heard some of this stuff, but y'all gonna hear it today. You understand me? You're gonna hear it today from the grand sheet. Okay, we're gonna look. We're going to Black's Law Dictionary, sixth edition. We're looking up the term first of all to occupy. So when we say United States doing business in North America on our land, what we really saying is they occupying the land, right? So to occupy definition is a legal term, not what we always assume what occupy mean, right? But what this saying is occupy, sixth edition, Black's Law Dictionary says to take or enter upon possession of, to hold possession of, to hold or keep for use, to possess, to tenant, to do business in, to take or hold possession, actual possession and cultivation. Okay. Um, so they have possession of the land, right? Now let's look in what an occupant is. It's the person who in possession, person having possessory rights, who can control what goes on the premises, one who has actual use, possession, and control of a thing, one who takes the first possession of a thing of which there is no owner. There is no owner. One who occupies and takes possession. Person who acquires title by occupancy. So they are claiming to have title to the land, right? Because that how you know they claim to have title to the land because they issue land grants. All right. So they are claiming to have title to the land by occupancy under the doctrine of discovery. Because on the doctrine of discovery, they try to say that the land was abandoned. And that's going into the Sestate K Trust, right? When we talking about us being the lost estate and abandoned, what does that really mean? That puts us in the refugee and stateless person category again, right? So we got to understand the history between now and 1492. What happened in 1492? You understand? What happened in 1492 was a term called the doctrine of discovery. Let's look that up. Let's not just talk about it. Let's look that up. The doctrine of discovery, also known as the papal bull. Okay? Also known as the papal bull. It says the doctrine of discovery is a principle that originated in the 15th century, 1492, 1493 area, primarily through papal decrees. Papal means the Pope, which granted Christian nations. Now listen what it's saying, Christian nations. You never heard, you thought Christianity was a religion. Christianity has nations, right? It had governments, they militaries, which granted Christian nations the right to claim lands inhabited by non-Christians. So they saying by us, of course, before 1492, we wasn't Christians. So they saying that since we wasn't Christians, they had the right to occupy our land and inhabit our land. They considered the land abandoned just through the doctrine of discovery. See, Christopher Columbus never discovered America. He enforced the doctrine of discovery on America. All right. This is how they set up the colonial powers here. This doctrine established that upon discovering, in parentheses, new territories, European powers could assert sovereignty over them, often leading to colonization and exploitation of indigenous peoples in their lands. It has significant implications in public international law, as it laid the groundwork for territorial claims and rights. So this is the groundwork they use, because you gotta understand the Europeans come from far north Europe, right? You talk Russia and all these places. That's the Caucasus Mountains, Great Britain, the Albion territory. You know what I'm saying? This is where they derived from. So this is not really an estate that they can claim. It has no resources. It's mountains. It's cold. You understand? Certain foods don't grow there. Certain things. So you got to understand something called the Dark Ages. Let's go into that. Let's look at the Dark Ages. Now follow me. I'm gonna bring all this back together now. The Dark Ages. Let's look at what the Dark Ages was. See, we got to understand the Dark Ages was a time period when these Europeans was cut off from the rest of the world for at least 500 years. They could not leave um, Europe because we had cut them off. We had cut them off. Okay? I'm trying to see what's a good illustration. Okay, this is not really what I was looking for. But we cut them off for 500 years, right? So they vowed to never be in that position again. So what they did was, when the Dark Ages was over, When the Moors went in there and uplifted these people and enlightened, they called that the Enlightenment period or the Renaissance period, right? So the Renaissance period, the Enlightenment period, was due to the melanated, dark-skinned people like us, me and you, going in there, setting up universities, setting up the Alhambra, the greatest palace ever seen in Spain, and you know what I'm saying, we set up all these marvelous things. They was living in huts, they was walking on their hands and feet. They didn't have, when they came out those Caucasus Mountains, they didn't have basic dignity, like, you know what I'm saying, like human dignity. They didn't know how to wash themselves. If a woman had a period, your menstrual cycle, they would execute you, they would kill you, because they felt like you was consumed by witches and demons, and they felt like if they let you live after you had a period, then, you know what I'm saying, you would corrupt and possess other people. You understand me? So this is what they train of thought was. They kings and queens was living in straw homes. They had no castles. All the castles built in Europe was built by us. And how can you prove that? Just look it up, or you go there. It's got Arabic writing. It's Arabic writing in all the castles out there, especially in Spain, lower Europe, South Europe. When you deal with Spain, France, uh, those territories in South Europe, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna see a lot of Arabic writings in those castles. Why? Because it was written by the Moors who had succeeded Prophet Muhammad. Prophet Muhammad was a Moor. He was a melanated, dark-skinned brother, woolly hair, and he was a Moor. Praise Allah for the Prophet. After he brought the teachings to the people, all right, after he died, 50 years after he died, this is when we conquered Europe for 800 years and enlighten them. Okay, so gotta give you the background story, because if you don't understand that, then you don't understand what led to them converting us over to Christianity, what led to us having to correct our status. The reason why we gotta correct our status, because it's incorrect. Something is incorrect about what we claiming, what we identifying as. And and the main thing is they put us on a corporate status. They took away our states. So we have to claim our lost estates. We have to claim our state assets as well. You have to claim your security instruments. Okay, we're gonna go into that, all that. We're gonna go into that all that. I appreciate y'all rocking with me. Drop a 100 if y'all still rocking with me. I see it kind of picked up. We got some viewers right now. So if y'all rocking with me, drop a 100. Drop a 100 if you rocking with me. We're gonna go in. We're gonna ride in on the Treaty of Grenada, 1492. How did they steal this state? I'm just giving y'all a history lesson today, baby, because I'm just tired of hearing all the incompetent arguments about who we is, and what we need to do. Prophet Drew Ali already came with the demonstration to uplift us and give us a nationality and remind us of our ancestral estate that we must claim. All this on Scribe. Let's pull it up. The Treaty of Grenada. Let's pull it up. The Treaty of Grenada, 1491, November 25th. This is why they celebrate Thanksgiving on November 25th, is because you're a history. If you don't have connection to your history, these people put it right in your face. They put it right in your face and make you celebrate your own demise. Why do they celebrate November 25th as Thanksgiving? It's because that's when the treaty was signed and ratified. All right? It's starting to make sense a little bit to me. I don't know about you. You understand me? So, let me go back. So the Treaty of Grenada was signed by Bodil. Now look up Bodil, one of the greatest warriors and emperors and sultans that we ever had. So the Sultan of Grenada was Bodil of the Moorish Empire at that time. He was the Sultan, that's the leader of the empire. And Ferdinand and Isabella, the king was kings and queens. See, they never been sultans. You notice that? You notice that the Europeans could never hold certain titles. They never was pharaohs from Egypt, right? They never was able to be pharaohs, and they never was able to be sultans. Let me I thought I was screenshot. Y'all ain't seeing none of this. I'm screenshot. My bad. Hold on. I thought y'all was seeing my screenshot. Y'all might be seeing it. Yeah, y'all seeing it. Okay, so let's talk about this. Let's go into some of the content of this, the treaty articles. Okay, this was also known as the capitulation of Granada, meaning they took over Granada. Okay, and how did they do it? The treaty provided a short truce, followed by a relinquishment in January 1492. This is why they celebrate January as the new year. It's the new fiscal year. It's the new tax year. The real new year is in March, right? And spring is when the real new year starts. So what we looking at right here is the relinquishment that happened in January 1492 of the sovereignty of the Moorish Emirate of Granada. Okay, founded 5 centuries early, because we was ruling these people for 5 centuries. 5 centuries. Why they never told you that we ruled Europeans for 5 centuries? Why that's not in your history books? Why your children are not learning this is because they want you to think you came off a slave ship from Africa. They don't want you to know that you were already here and you are indigenous, because then that changed the complex of the history, right? That's why they keep giving you slave movie after slave movie after slave movie, because they have to drill this in every generation of our children that they come from slaves. You understand? Our children do not come from slaves. Our children comes from sultans and sultanas, chiefs on this land. You know what I'm saying? We was chiefs on this land. We was sheiks and chiefs on this land. All right, continue reading. It says the treaty guaranteed a set of rights to the Moors. See, when you read, and what I like to do is go into the treaties, because a lot of people say that the Moors never had an empire. Uh, it was a Muslim empire that ruled Europe. That's false, man. That's false. It was never a Muslim empire. It was the Moorish empire and the Moorish nation. But when you look it up in history, that's what it's going to tell you. It's going to say the Muslim empire. Moors are Muslims. We ain't Muslims. Muslim is a new term. Be real with you. Okay, it says including religious tolerance and fair treatment in return for their surrender and capitulation. Because they was going through a war at the time. The Moors would not, we wasn't finna give in. We wasn't finna never surrender to these people. Only reason why we surrendered is because they captured the Alhambra, which was the greatest palace ever built in history. To this day, it's the main attraction in Spain. So we knew the power of the European, how they like to destroy, knock the noses off things and destroy pyramids and crush things, right? So we wanted to preserve this for history. So we surrendered. That's how great the Alhambra is. We had to surrender so they wouldn't destroy it. You understand? But we didn't give away our rights. Right here it says it's telling you that we was guaranteed a set of rights in the treaty. So we secured our rights by making a security agreement with King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella. Of course, they violated this. They violated this, right? Let's continue reading. It says the Catholics' subsequent policy inviting the Moors to either convert or be expelled triggered an uprising by the Moors in the 1500s, and the Catholic side used this uprising to argue that the Moors had violated the treaty and justified revoking its provisions. See Morisco rebellions in Granada. So you have to see that title, Morisco rebellions in Granada, to understand your history, who you are. We weren't going. We weren't going. You understand? Because see, the treaty didn't say that we had to convert or be expelled. But see, they added that, so that's a violation of a contract. That's a meeting. That's we didn't have a meeting of the minds. You know what I'm saying? Because we would have never agreed to convert to Christianity. Never. because that's not our true divine creed. You understand me? Our divine creed is spiritual. Not saying the Bible anything is not spiritual, but we are more spiritual than that. You understand? We are the invent. At this time, the Bible wasn't even a thing. The King James version wasn't even invented at this time until 1611. Okay, so at this time, we was into the Quran. You understand? The religion of peace. And we had peace on the land. It was no wars. We lived with the Europeans. We lived next door to Christians. And it was no war. But the Catholics, the Catholic Roman Empire wanted war. They wanted to conquer something. They wanted to overthrow the empire, right? So that's what happened. Let's read the treaty articles. The Capitulation of 1492 contained 67 articles, among which were the following. Okay, so we're not gonna read all 67, but we're gonna go into the most relevant ones. Let's put it like that. Okay, the number one says that both great and small should be perfectly secure in their persons, families, and properties. What did that sound like? That sounds like the 14th Amendment, don't it? This is where they got not the 14th Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, pardon self. Sound like the Fourth Amendment. This is where they got the Fourth Amendment from the Treaty of Grenada, 1492. All right, that's where they got the Fourth Amendment says you must be secure in your papers, persons, and things, right? This is where they get it from. They get it from your people. These people ain't invent nothing new. They ain't invent nothing new. Okay. Okay, let's continue reading. It says that their laws should be preserved as they were before, and that no one should judge them except by that same law. So the laws that we had when we ruled them, we were supposed to be still under those same laws in Europe, America. Because we're talking about the empire. We're not just talking about Europe. We're talking about over here too. This because remember, they converted us over here to Christianity, right? Who came over here first? The Catholics. You got South America, the joining islands. What are they religion? Catholic. It's no coincidence. You understand me? It's the Catholic Roman Empire. So this is what you're reading. 1492 is affecting everything in America. And that's why I'm reading this so we can do a background because I'll be hearing some crazy stories about, oh, the Moorish, the ones that sold out the Americans. The Moorish, the ones who started slavery. No, we wasn't. Wow. When? What? Show me history facts of this because this is facts. Them history books ain't facts, but the treaties are facts. Oh yeah, the treaties, you can't rewrite these. You can't rewrite no treaty. You understand me? You can make different versions of the history books, but you cannot rewrite them treaties. All right? The treaties tell stories of how wars ended. So I'm a historian. I'm a person who loves history. I'm a person who loves a good war story at that, because I'm a soldier, you understand? But at the end of the day, if you read these stories behind these treaties, then you will have a full circle of knowledge when it comes to your history. This is what we mean by study yourself. Okay, let's read the next one. It says that their mosques and religious endowments appertaining to them should remain as they were in the times of Islam. So when they try to convert us over to Christianity, or we had to be expelled from Europe, we revolted from that because we weren't with that. We weren't with that. See, the ones that converted over to Christianity, they called them Moriscos. That's where you get the term Morisco. That's the ones who converted over. They had to convert it because they was being exploited. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they was being killed. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of history, but they was torturing us. This is where they come with the whole ideology of blasphemy. Blasphemy was a law that was enforced by their government that if you practice your indigenous spirituality, then you would be persecuted. You couldn't meditate. You couldn't practice your original spirituality in these times, what they call the medieval period. Why you think they call it medieval? Because they was doing a lot of evil. I'm just keeping it funky with you. You understand me? Let's continue reading. It says that no Christian should enter the house of a Muslim or insult him in any way. So this is where you get the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. Everybody has freedom of religion. All right? Let's continue reading. It says that no Christian or Jew holding public offices by the appointment of the late Sultan should be allowed to exercise his functions or rule over them. Okay? The next one says that all Muslim captives taken during the siege of Granada from whatever part of the country they might have come, but especially the nobles and chiefs mentioned in the agreement shall be liberated. Let me read that again, man. That's sauce. That's sauce. It says that all Muslim captives, all the Moors that was taken during the siege of Granada from whatever part of the country they may have come should be liberated. But they said especially the nobles and the chiefs. Especially the nobles. Who's the nobles and the chiefs again? Okay, that's us. From whatever part you come from, you're supposed to be liberated. All right. See, they got man. I'm gonna bring this home now. How this works in America? Just let me read a little more. Just let me keep cooking a little bit. Let's continue. It says that such Muslim captives as might have escaped from their Christian masters, taking refuge in Granada, should not be surrendered, but that the Sultan should be bound to pay the price of such captives to their owners. So that was the ransom. You know what I'm saying? That was the ransom act right there. That was the ransom move. They you know what I'm saying? We had to pay ransom. You didn't have to be captive if you escape, right? But the Sultan had to pay the ransom. Now I'm gonna tell you who else got kidnapped. Your boy Christopher Columbio. He got kidnapped in Haiti. He never stepped foot in North America. You understand? No, nobody from the, you know what I'm saying? They never stepped foot in North America. What happened was when he landed in America, he landed in Haiti and they kidnapped him. And King Ferdinand and Isabella had to pay his ransom to get him back. And I think I'm lying. Look it up. Look it up. Let's continue reading this. Okay, it said that all those who might choose to cross over to Africa should be allowed to take their departure within a certain time and can be conveyed thither in the king's ships and without any pecuniary tax being imposed on them beyond the mere charge of passage. Okay? And that after the expiration of that time, no Muslim should be hindered from departing, provided he paid in addition to the price of his passage the tie of whatever property he might carry along with him. Okay? They violated this. This is where you get April Fool's Day. Where's April Fool's Day, Grand Sheik? April Fool's Day was that they gave us their ships so we can leave. We paid for it and everything, and they sunk the ships. They told all the women and children to get on the ships. And as the ship was leaving the bay, they burned down their whole community. And then they sunk the ships. That's April Fool's Day. That's April Fool's Day. I ain't capping. I read this. Let's continue to read. It says that no one should be persecuted and punished for the crime of another man. This is where the straw man is invented, right? Where they punishing us for the straw man. That's another entity outside of us. A lot of y'all haven't made that separation yet. Let's continue reading this treaty. This is the Treaty of 1492 for those that are just coming in. We reading the Treaty of 1492 with the Moors and the European nations so we can understand who we are and what we got to do. And that's proclaim nationality. That's proclaim nationality. Let's continue reading. It says that the Christians who had embraced Islam should not be compelled to relinquish it or adopt their former creed. Okay, so if, because remember, when we came in Europe, we converted all these Christians over to Islam. Had we not lost this war, the whole world would still be on Islam. You would never heard of no Bible and Christianity and these type of things. I'm just talking real talk to you right now. They violated these things. We read early, they compelled us to convert over or be expelled. You understand? So they violated this. Let's continue reading. It says that any Muslim wishing to become a Christian should be allowed some days to consider the step he was about to take, after which he is to be questioned by both a Muslim and a Christian judge concerning his intended change. And if after examination he still refused to return to Islam, he should be permitted to follow his own inclination. So they have Muslim and Christian judges. Judges. So this is nothing about your belief. This is about your jurisdiction that you chose to fall under. Are you going to be on the laws of Islam, or are you going to be the laws of Christianity? And you had time to think, so they'll tell you what the consequences was by giving up your religious creed. You understand? You are giving up your rights. Because remember, I told you got all these different type of rights. One of them is religious rights. So you have a rights pertain to that. The right of consciousness, the right to be left alone, right? They violated this. All these things I'm reading is the violations that they were supposed to uphold. Okay? And now it says this. The next one says that no Muslim should be prosecuted for the death of a Christian slain during the siege, and that no restitution of property taken during this war should be enforced. Okay? Let's continue reading. It says that no Muslim should be subject to have Christian soldiers belittled upon him or be transported to the provinces of this kingdom against his will. Okay, that's when you get the Fourth Amendment. They must have a warrant and these type of things before they can't just come grab us up. Okay, now let's tie this all together. Tie it all together, Grand Sheikah. We read the treaty. Okay, now let's read what they got us under. They got us under the Christian Black Codes in America. A lot of y'all might not never heard of this, but we're gonna go in on that today. The Christian Black Codes of 1724. Because see, we have to understand Christianity from a non-religious state of mind to understand what we under when we say we are Christian or Catholic or black, Negro, and colored. What does that really mean, Grand Sheik? Let's read. It says the Christian Black Codes of 1724 were passed in southern states after the Civil War to severely restrict the rights and freedoms of emancipated black people. Wait, let me read that again, Mo. It says the Christian Black Codes of 1724 were laws passed. This was laws passed in southern states after the Civil War. So even though this was made in 1724, this was enforced after the Civil War, 1865. 1865. And what it did was severely restrict the rights and freedoms of the emancipated black people. So even though your boy Christopher Columbus Emancipation Proclamation was declared, it didn't matter because you still consider yourself Christian and black, which put you under Christian Black Codes of 1724. And under these codes of 1724, you was restricted your rights and freedoms. It says the codes limited blacks' ability to assemble. So you didn't have the right to assemble. This is what the same thing we went through during COVID. This same thing we're going through right now. Can we assemble during COVID? No, we couldn't. You understand? They was telling everybody no more than 10 people can assemble together. People couldn't even go to church. But the Moors were still in the temples, though. We still was assembling. 40, 50, hundreds of us, we still assembling. Because we not under Christian Black Code 1724. It says to speak freely. So you can't speak freely when you're under Christian Black Codes. Practice religions other than Catholicism and own weapons. You see that? And own weapons. Why you think you need a FOIA card? Why you think you have to have permission to have firearms when the Second Amendment already say you had a right to bear arms? Let's read on it. Let's read on this. Pull this up. Let me see if I can find. See, these type of things they try to hide from you. It's hard to find. These things ain't easy to find all the time. Let me see if I can find it here. Okay. Yeah, here go one right here. This is the one that was enforced in Louisiana. And the reason why I'm bringing these up, these codes, is because you still under state codes. They just changed the name from Christian Black codes to state codes. All right. We're going in today. We're going a long time today, man. We 45 minutes in. But we still got a lot more to go. So if you rocking with me, I appreciate you. Share this, like, comment. You understand me? Get the numbers up in here, man. People, let your people know, man. You need to know your history. You need to read these codes, these treaties. You need to know what these folks doing. Cause we don't know. We ain't got no clue. Our people lost. You understand me? Now let's read the Christian Black codes that violated 1492 treaty. Now listen to this. It says, number one, decrees the expulsion of Jews from the colony. Okay. So those who was not under the Christian Black codes, our people are the Jews, the true Jews, right? But they talking about the Jewish, right? You got Jews and then you got Jewish. And we know the real Jews is us. We the real Jews. Come on, we the real Hebrews. The language, whatever you want, the Israelites, however you want to look at that, we Moors. Number two, it says, make it imperative on masters to impart religious instruction to their slaves. Okay, that's the number three says permits the exercise of the Roman Catholic creed only. So this is why South America, a lot of places, especially like Louisiana, you know what I'm saying? You see Christian, Catholic things everywhere. Why you think you have so much uh Catholic architecture and all this? It's because this was the only religion we were allowed to practice. We didn't choose Christianity. Your ancestors didn't choose Christianity voluntarily. And I'm not trying to take your beliefs away or what you believe, but I'm just trying to give you the background history of why you do what you do. Because we was born into this. So when you born into something, you don't know what happened before you was born. You just following suit. You just following the flow of traffic. But we gotta slow down. We gotta hit the brakes and say, wait a minute, why are we how long have we been in Christianity? And why did we switch over? Let's continue reading. It says Negro placed under discretion supervision of any other person than a Catholic are liable to confiscation. So if you didn't have a Catholic slave master in 1724, see that's the part of slavery they don't tell you. You would be confiscated. So how? So I thought they brought us from Africa over here, Grand Sheep. No, they ain't bringing us from no Africa. They confiscated us right here if we weren't Catholic. That's how it went. And then they took you over there to Africa. They took you to the islands. They took you to other places. Sierra Leone was started by the free slaves. That's Africa. We went over there to Sierra Leone and started that. That's Americans started Sierra Leone. That's an American colony by the indigenous people of America. We went to Africa. So that the whole story of being brought from Africa is a complete lie. They have no historical facts to prove this. Where's the ships? Where's the documents? They document everything. You telling me they had codes in 1724, but they weren't writing down the names of the people and who was brought over here? Come on now, we have to challenge these things. Let's continue reading, because reading is fundamental. Article 6 says, we forbid our white subjects of both sexes to marry with the blacks, under the penalty of being fined and subject to some of arbitrary punishment. You know what arbitrary punishment is? That means punishment without due process of law. So if they caught you in an interracial marriage, no due process of law, you just punish. That's what arbitrary punishment means. It says, we forbid our corrects, priests, missionaries of our secular and regular clergy, even, I gotta zoom in a little bit because this is a little bit too small for my eye. My bad. Okay, let me finish reading. It says, even our chaplains and our navy to sanction such marriages. So they was forbidden to even give us a marriage. You know what I'm saying? Even if you was in the Navy with these people, you couldn't do no interracial marriage. Then it says we also forbid all our white subjects even the manumitted or free-born blacks. So it was one some that was born free here in Louisiana, right? Not not brought from no slave ships to live in a state of concubinage with blacks. So they forbid that. You couldn't even have a European concubine. That's like a side chick. You understand? You couldn't even have a side chick that was a white girl. You understand what they saying to you? Couldn't even have a concubine. It says, should there be any issue from this kind of intercourse, it is our will that the person so offending and the master of the slave should pay each fine of 300 livres. Should said issue be the result of the concubinage of the master with his slave, said master shall not only pay the fine, but be deprived of the slave and of the children, who shall be adjudged to the hospital of locality, and said slave shall be forever incapable of being set free. What? So they saying if your white master had kids with blacks, that was forbidden. That was forbidden. That was forbidden. So all that talk about, man, they was raping us and doing this. Yeah, that happened later. That happened later. But when this slavery thing first started, they didn't want to interact with us. Just like now, if you really think about it, think about your city you live in right now, you from, or the city you come from, right? Think about this main point I'm finna make right here. Haven't you always heard the story that, oh, this land used to be the Europeans, but they moved us out here, and now they trying to get the land back. They trying to get the land back because guess what? They realized that segregation was the worst thing for them. So this is why they started the civil rights movement to integrate us back together. Because for a long time they didn't want to integrate with us. Remember, whites only restaurants, whites only water fountains and things like that, right? Right? So this is giving credibility to how long that really was going on. They wasn't really interested in raping out women. You would be punished for raping out women or having a concubine. Not saying they didn't rape them. I'm gonna take that back because they did rape. But to have a concubine, you know what I'm saying, or marry into one of them, they would strip you of the slave. They would strip you of the children, and that slave would be forever incapable of being set free. Let me continue reading. It says, but should this illicit intercourse have existed between a free black and his slave? Wait a minute. So blacks had slaves? Let's read that again. But should this illicit intercourse have existed between a free black and his slave, when the said free black had no legitimate wife, and should said black marry said slave, according to the forms prescribed by the church, said slave shall be therefore thereby set free, and the children shall also become free and legitimate. And in such a case, there shall be no application of the penalties mentioned in this present article. So we were slave owners as well, because slavery is not what you think it is. Slavery was servitude. So if you was an indentured servant, you was considered a slave. You understand me? So if a free black who owned slaves, but he didn't have a wife and he had a concubine, he had you know what I'm saying? Then they would set the slave free, so you couldn't keep your slave. You know what I'm saying? You couldn't keep your slave and be sleeping with her and you ain't got no wife. That was forbidden. You got to have a wife, a legitimate wife, to have a concubine. Because remember, I know the ladies hate when I say this, but polygamy was the way of life. Monogamy came with Christianity and the marriage license. The marriage license made it created monogamy, because now you can only legally marry one wife. But in these times, man, these men had wives right here in America, in Louisiana, had wives, they had concubines, and they had slaves. So how are we brought from Africa, but we got slaves? That don't make no sense. It don't make no sense, man. It just don't make no sense. Let's continue reading. Now, and this is actual laws. This is not your history, but this is the laws that was written. That's why I say go to the law, read the law, like the Prophet Muhammad Drew Ali told us to do. He said, go to those that know some law. Let's read Article 12. Article 12 say, we forbid slaves to carry offensive weapons or heavy sticks under the penalty of being whipped and having said weapons confiscated for the benefit of the person seizing the same. An exception is made in favor of those who are sent a hunting or shooting by their masters and who carry with them a written permission to that effect and designated by some known mark or badge. Let me read this again. Hold on, wait a minute. So the Second Amendment said we have the right to bear arms, right? But these folks right here say we forbid our slaves to carry offensive weapons and heavy sticks. So this is where the Floyd, the gun license come from. It come from 1724. You are a slave if you have a gun license or any license at that point. You understand what I'm saying to you? Because these are rights, but these are rights that was taken away from you by your masters. And you must have written permission to that effect or designated with some mark or badge. So you have to be what, a police officer to freely carry, or you have to have some written permission like a FYD card. That's why I love Texas, because Texas under Republic, you don't need no FYD card, right? But they still have some colonial laws here. Don't get it twisted. You know what I'm saying? Because Louisiana right next door to me. So I'm talking about what happened right next door to me right now. You understand what I'm saying? Let's continue reading. Let's continue reading. Let's continue reading. Let's continue reading. Okay. So they forbid us to have any type of firearms. So that why would they forbid us to have that? Because they didn't want us to be able to go to war with them, right? Have no type of way to defend ourselves, because the only way they can do this is if we are you know what I'm saying, uninformed, and we don't have no weapons. We naked. You know what I'm saying? They catch us lacking. That's the only way they can do it. They catch us lacking. They can't see us. I mean, I ain't even gonna get into that. All right, let's continue reading. Article 22, right? Now this is the big one. It says we declare that slaves can have no right to any kind of property, and that all that they acquire, either by their own industry or by the liberality of others, or by any other means or title whatever, shall be the full property of their masters. And the children of said slaves, their fathers and mothers, their kindred and other relations, either free or slaves, shall have no pretensions or claims thereto, either through testamentary dispositions or donations inter vivos. This means a living will. So even if you had a living will, you weren't entitled to the property of any kind. It says, continue reading, it says, which dispositions and donations we declare null and void. And also whatever permissions that they have made, promises that they have made, and whatever obligations that they may have subscribed to as having been entered into by persons incapable of disposing of anything and of participating to any contract. So let's break this down. So they're saying when you have a car, you have a house, what do you have to do? You have to register these things. When you register, you are converting your rights, titles, and interests over to the state. So they give you a certificate of title. We don't have title to anything. Black people own nothing. You mortgage things, and you think a mortgage is a title because that's what they told you. But a mortgage is a dead pledge. Mort means dead. Okay, mort is a Latin word. Mort, like mortus, means dead, or the morgue. You know what I'm saying? These words are all related. So you sign a dead pledge. You understand what I'm saying to me? This stuff get deep. It get real deep. I ain't kidding with you. You know, you already know I got the real receipts. We discharging debts. We doing all these things with these contracts because we understand what these obligations really are. See, it says right here that also whatever promises they have made or whatever obligations they may have subscribed to. So a promise is a promissory note. An obligation is a debt. Okay. It says, as having been entered into by persons. Persons is what? A corporation. Because remember, this goes hand in hand with the Sestake Trust, 1666, when they said we have abandoned our states and they converted us over to corporations and entities, right? To a trust. All right. So they said that we couldn't participate in any contracts. Basically, we couldn't make getting promissory notes. We couldn't use their negotiable instruments. You understand? You didn't have that right. It's just the same way now. They deny us credit. You know what I'm saying? Depend on your territory, your location. You know, things like that, right? You get, you know what I'm saying? They give Europeans better credit opportunities than they do our people. Especially when you talk about business credit, things like that, right? They get better opportunities. They got red line districting, things like that in place to know if you come from a certain place, if you use a certain zip code, they already gonna flag you. You understand? This is the reality of what you're dealing with. You don't have to agree with me, but just read. You understand? Okay, let's continue reading. Let's continue reading this Christian Black Codes. 25 says, slaves shall never be parties to civil suits, either as plaintiffs or defendants, nor shall they be allowed to appear as complainants in criminal cases, but their masters shall have the right to act for them in civil matters and in criminal ones, to demand punishment and reparation for such outrages and excesses as their slaves may have suffered from. So this is why they force you to have a bar member or a lawyer attorney on your case. They almost, man, you try to represent yourself in court, they almost have a heart attack in there. Like, oh my God, you let me give you these questions and let me make sure you're competent. You understand? Because you are in their eyes a slave who can never be a party to a civil suit. That's why they bring the all caps names. They never bring a natural person. You know what I'm saying? They come on, man. Y'all know where I'm going with that. Y'all know where I'm going with that. This is why they do what they do. Let's continue reading. 26. Slaves may be prosecuted criminally without their masters being made parties to the trial. So even though your lawyers represent you, he's not a party to the case, except they should be indicted as accomplices. And said slaves shall be tried at first by the judges of ordinary jurisdiction, if there be any, and on appeal by the superior council, with the same rules, formalities, and proceedings observed for free persons, save the exceptions mentioned hereafter. So even though they represent us, like I say, they're not going to jail with you, right? But they doing all the talking in court for you. You never think about that? Okay, let's continue reading. Let's go down. Let's keep skipping down. You feel me? This is the good one right here. This is the one I love right here. 28. Oh, I forgot I can highlight. Okay, 28 said, slaves who shall have made themselves liable to the penalty of the whip, the flour de luce, brand, and ear cutting shall be tried in the last resort by the ordinary judges of the inferior courts, and shall undergo the sentence passed upon them without there being an appeal to the superior council and confirmation or reversal of judgment, notwithstanding the Article 26 of the present code, which shall be applicable only to those judgments which the slave convicted is sentenced to be hamstrung or suffer death. So let's break this down. Now, when you were punished, of course they'll whip you, but they will brand you, right? Now the brand that they put on you is called the flour de luce. Now a lot of y'all might not know what this flour is, so let me let me show you what this flour is, and it's gonna blow your mind. Remember, this is Louisiana, right? This is Louisiana. The flour de luce. They loose. What does that look like? Let's look at some images of that. Let's look at some images of the fly with the loose. Uh-oh. What this look like? This the fly with the loose. What does this look like? This the New Orleans Saints sign. This the football team logo. This is the logo for the football team called the New Orleans Saints. Is it not? But this is the slave brand that you would be punished for in 1700s in Louisiana. See how they put it right in your face? And you ignorant to the Christian black codes and you think it don't exist still? But you celebrate the New Orleans Saints? Think about it. What did they call the people in Louisiana when Hurricane Katrina hit? They called them refugees. Refugees. Remember that term? Refugees. All right? That means people without a nationality. This is why they targeting us. That's why they doing certain things to us. They are branding us. They don't gotta brand us no more because now we ain't even choosing to be free. We ain't claiming no nationality. We just out here saying, yeah, we black, we Negro, we colored. We volunteer to be residents and U.S. citizens now. You understand? We volunteering. Because the 13th Amendment says involuntary servitude is outlawed. But what about voluntary servitude? What if you volunteer to be a slave? They can't stop what you volunteer to be. You understand what I'm saying to you? You identify with the birth certificate. The birth certificate is not identification. You understand? Let's break this down, Grand Sheik. We gotta understand these things. I'm gonna read one more and then I'm gonna go to the next one. I'm gonna go to the next one. You understand? Because remember, it was 67. You were reading all 67, but this for you to go read all 67. So you can read this to your children. You can read this to your parents. You can read this to your people and let them know, man, look, you got to proclaim your nationality, at least have some understanding of your nationality. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody don't want to proclaim. I get it. Everybody don't want to buck the system. They just rather go along with it. You know what I'm saying? I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. But don't be mad when you don't get the fair end of the stick, when they shooting us in the forehead and we ain't got no redress, they ain't getting locked up or nothing because they are slaves and we are their property. Okay? Let's read one more and then we're gonna stop with this one. Article 39 says slaves 14 years old and from this age to 60 who are settled on lands and plantations and are at present working on them shall not be liable to seizure for debt, except for what may be due out of the purchase money agreed to be paid for them, unless said grounds of plantation shall also be distressed. And any seizure of judicial sale or real estate without including the slaves of the aforementioned age who are part of the said estate shall be deemed null and void. Let's read that again. Let's read that again now. Slaves, 14 years and from this age up to 60 could not be imprisoned for debt. Okay, this is the same laws as in the Constitution. You cannot be imprisoned for debt, right? But they still do it. They still do it. Because, hey, my brothers know if you got child support, right? What would they do to you if you don't pay that child support? Ain't that a debt? Huh? Ain't that some type of liability or debt? Won't they seize you in court? Because I've seen it happen all the time. You understand? This is how you know you're in slavery. That's how you know you're in slavery. Okay, let's read. Let's go into we're looking at this. What was the next one I was gonna go into? It was oh, I forgot now. Um I wanted to read something about the I forgot now. I forgot. I let it slip my mind. Okay, but this is the Christian Black Codes of 1724. Okay, that they converted over to the state codes, and this is why Status correction is the order of the day. You have to take yourself out of certain statuses. Okay. Um, you can research a lot of these things I mentioned, right? Like I say, tomorrow I'm dropping this course right here for free. Um, for all the people. You know what I'm saying? So you can read these things for yourself and share it, spread it around. Oh, that's the same thing, huh? Let me read this comes out of House Resolution um 1203, made in Georgia. Matter of fact, um let's just pull it up so you can see the actual heading since we screen sharing. And what we're looking at is House Resolution 1203, Georgia. Okay. Because if you don't know the laws, then you might not believe this. You know what I'm saying? It might be unbelievable, but it's very real. So let's look at the laws on this. Okay, this was made in the state of Georgia in 2014 to recognize you, Moorish American Holy Week at the state capitol. Okay. A resolution recognizing January 8th through the 15th, 2014 is Moorish American Holy Week at the state capitol and for other purposes. So this, we not concerned about the Holy Week right now. We concerned about the other purposes that this resolution was made, because resolution is made to solve a problem, and the problem we have is our identity. First matter of business, you have to be identified. Even in the Bible, the first thing was Adam had to name everything, so everything has to have identity here. You understand me? To exist, you have to have identity. You name your baby before the child comes because it has to have identity, right? So this House Resolution 1203 by Representative Thomas of the 56, a resolution, number one, says recognizing January 8th through the 14th, through the 15th, 2014 as Moorish American Holy Week at the state capitol and for other purposes. Remember, we focus on them other purposes, right? It says, whereas the Moorish Americans whose ancient forefathers are the mothers and fathers of the human family, stand in these days as a comity of descendants from the ancient Moabites and Canaanites who were permitted from the old pharaohs of Kemet to traverse from East Africa and later form kingdoms and standing from the northwest and southwestern shores of Africa and Atlantic islands unto the present day continental America. So this is the law that's telling you you wasn't brought on no slave ship. You weren't brought on. You come back from ancient Canaanites and Moabites who traverse from what we call Egypt over here, back and forth, and set up kingdoms. And this is Egypt as well. I ain't gonna get on that right now, but this is Egypt. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Number 8 says this. Whereas the Moorish Americans are teaching their people their true nationality and divine creed. Ain't that's what I'm trying to teach you? Your true nationality and divine creed? I guess I'm a Moorish American. That they may become better citizens. And no, they are not Negroes, colored, or black people, nor Afros. Now, this is the representative. House of Representatives are the legislature. They the ones who make laws. So they do their homework. They got to put it on the floor. They got to get voted on. They got to get passed. This got passed. You understand me? It says that you are not a Negro, colored folk, black people, or Afros. It says because these names were given to slaves. Remember, we read the Christian Black codes that talk about the slaves? With the names of the slaves was Negroes, black, colored, Indian. You know what I'm saying? These was the names of the slaves. And I can show you the Negro Act that Indians are Negroes and Indians are slaves. That's good. All you gotta do is look up the Negro Act. Okay. Let's continue reading. It says, uh, these names was given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865. In this era of time, as all nations are seeking peace, the indigenous, I never knew that word until I started studying that I was indigenous. I thought I was a real nigga. No, I'm not a real nigga. I'm an indigenous, real Moor. You feel what I'm saying? It says the indigenous Moorish peoples of the Americas are now united to link themselves with the family of nations. See, because on the black, Negro, and colored, you have unlinked yourself to the family of nations because the nations are humans. There's no nations on the earth that claim these titles of black, Negro as actual citizenship status, or you know what I'm saying, when you check in what race you is, that's not around the world. This is the only place we play this white and black game. You understand? Because it's slavery. It has nothing to do with your complexion. Your complexion is not black, you brown, you copper color and olive. You're not black. Nobody can be black. I've seen the darkest person from Africa. He ain't black. He might look quite close to it though, but he's not that. You know what I'm saying? You either that or you're not. All right. Let's continue reading. It says, whereas the Moorish Americans, being aboriginals to the territories of North, Central, and South Americas, have formed sovereign theocratic government and guided by the command principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice through the virtue of the universal right to self-determination, as well as with the Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous Peoples guaranteed in the Charter of the United Nations. Let's read that again. It says the Moorish Americans being aboriginal to the territories of North, Central, and South Americas. So how we brought on slave ships if we was already here and being aboriginal? Aboriginal means come from the original people. So the original people was us, and we come from them. So that this kills the whole slavery story. How form a sovereign theocratic government. So what sovereign theocratic government we created, we formed? Which one are they talking about? They talking about the Moorish Science Temple of America under the divine constitution and bylaws. Only under the divine constitution and bylaws, not under the Religious Corporation Act, under the divine constitution, because divine means divinity. Theocratic means led by God. We have a divine constitution. I know a lot of y'all be stuck on the Zodiac Constitution, CMB. That was great works, but that didn't form a government. That didn't form a government. There's no government positions in there. The divine constitution and bylaws form the sovereign theocratic government. Because Allah's leading this. God is leading this movement, baby. Better know that. It's God leading this movement. And he said, it ain't going to be stopped today. Not today. No, sir. 19 said it. Whereas on January 8th, 1886, Noble Drew Ali was born. Whew, that's a special brother. All honors to the prophet. In the state of North Carolina, became the first patriot of his Moorish American people. And in 1912 was anointed. He was anointed El Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali by the head of Egypt. By who? By the head of Egypt. So the heads of Egypt anointed Noble Drew Ali as El Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali in the holy city of Mecca to return to the United States as the last prophet. So we got people in Africa, the heads, not the citizens, of course. They don't know nothing. But the heads of Egypt, the head of Egypt, they know who you are in America. That's why they had to anoint someone to return to the corporation as the last prophet and founding father of the new risen nation of Moorish Americans. Okay. Now, it says on January 15, 1865, slavery was abolished in the United States with the congressional ratification of the 13th Amendment, and the Moorish Americans, through self-determination, are unfolded as a pure and clean nation. They are who their forefathers were yesterday. Huh? So your ancestors, reincarnated. It says, now, therefore, be it resolved by the House of Representatives. So you ain't got to believe Grand Sheik. Oh, Grand Sheik made all this up. Okay, if I made it up, then guess what? The House of Representatives would agree with me. Huh? That's all I need. I don't need you to agree. I need the House of Representatives to agree with me. Because the prophet said it goes to those that know law in your government. And ask them on an intelligent tone, they'd gladly give you a favorable reply. For they're glad to see me bring you out of darkness into this marvelous light. Islam, January 8th through the 15th. See, this is how you know the prophet was so divinely sent here from Allah. He was born on Jan. You see how they mentioned when he was born? You see how they made the Holy Week that week between the 8th and the 15th. Now the 15th was when slavery was abolished. Drew Ali was born the same month, 7 days, according to the Circle 7 creation, 7 days before the abolition of slavery and the 13th Amendment was ratified. Come on now. Come on now. You don't think he a prophet? You don't think something special about this man who was anointed by the head of Egypt? Come on now. I'm just putting y'all on something you probably sleep on. My bad. But I have to bring it to you today so we can understand status correction. You understand? Because a lot of us just don't get it. We just don't get it. So hopefully I'll drop some knowledge on y'all. If y'all stick around tomorrow, I'm finna switch up a little bit. We coming with a whole credit live. I'm going live tomorrow, same time, 7 p.m. I know I was a little late today, but I'm gonna be on time tomorrow, 7 p.m. And we going live about credit. I'm bringing a special guest. Man, this sister right here is special. She got the sauce for you. She gonna drop it, and we going in on that credit, how to sign up, get your credit, because we doing specials right now. We got a special going right now. We would clean your credit up, repair your credit, and you would get your estate plan, living trust, will, power of attorney, durable, and medical. You get all this done for you for one set price of $190 plus $90 per month until your credit's repaired. And you get credit monitoring with that. You get all type of resources with that. So hit me up if you want to sign up for that tonight. But we going in on that 7 p.m. tomorrow. So spread the word. If you ain't in the 700 club, you ain't in the 800 club, you need to get there. You know what I'm saying? This is the year we need to correct our status. We need to claim our states. We need to start discharging our bills. We need to start putting our foot down. We need to start getting ourselves together as a nation of people. Because in South Africa, they getting it together. And they calling upon us in North America. Let's get it together. We got a government. The House of Representatives say you got a government that's sovereign, that you're not a part of. You don't even know about half of you. And don't get it wrong. The reason why you don't know about it because it's been infiltrated. Cointel operation still exists in the Moorish Science temples. A lot of brothers are against what I'm saying. I don't need them to agree with me. I don't care. They can be U.S. citizens in those temples. In my temple, we nationals. We nationals in my temple. You can be a U.S. citizen, violate the prophet. The prophet was never a U.S. citizen. That's why they recognizing and putting the House resolution together for us. This resolved all the arguments. You understand? So tap in with me. I'm going to see y'all again tomorrow. Dropping that heat. Y'all know I got the real receipts. I ain't just capping. We beating criminal cases with this information. We getting bills discharged with this information, knowing because you gotta have a foundation to stand on. A lot of y'all ain't got nothing to stand on. You don't even know you have a rich history. You think you come from a slave ship and you was a slave, man. What type of lower self mentality is that? Think about it. That's degrading to say you come from nothing. Man, we the best athletes and the smartest teachers. And come on now. If we come from nothing, why are we so great then? Why are we so great then? You understand? Because you come from greatness. And you come from Allah, the greatest of the great. You understand? So I appreciate y'all for tuning in. We're going to close this out with the Moorish American prayer. Put a blessing on the lesson. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night and by day through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Ah, man. Islam, more. See y'all tomorrow. Peace and love.